The storm came without warning that October night, stood at his kitchen window and watched lightning split the sky above his cornfield. The old farmhouse shook with each roll of thunder. He had lived here for 8 months now, ever since he left his veterinary practice in Seattle. Burnout, the doctors called it. He called it giving up. His grandfather had left him this place in Montana. 200 acres of nothing, surrounded by more nothing, had come here to disappear, and he had succeeded. His phone never rang. His email stayed empty. He was 34 years old, alone, and perfectly invisible to the world. The lightning flashed again, and saw something in the cornfield. At first he thought it was a deer. Then he thought it was a child. Then he realized it was neither of those things, and his blood turned cold. He grabbed his flashlight and rain jacket and stepped outside into the storm. The wind pushed against him like a living thing. Rain soaked through his clothes in seconds. He walked toward the cornfield, telling himself he was being stupid, telling himself to go back inside and forget what he saw. He did not go back inside. The cornstalks had been flattened in a perfect circle, about 20 feet across. In the center of that circle lay a creature unlike anything had ever seen. It was the size of a human child, maybe 8 or 9 years old. Its skin was pale silver with hints of blue like moonlight on water. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, a face with features that were almost human. Almost, but not quite. Its eyes were solid black like polished stones. Its fingers were 2 long with 6 instead of 5. Small ridges ran along its scalp instead of hair, and it was thin, so terribly thin, could see every bone beneath that strange silver skin. The creature looked at him and felt its fear. Not heard, felt. The emotion pushed into his mind like a cold wind, and he knew with absolute certainty that this being was afraid of him. It was also dying. Had spent 12 years as a veterinarian. He knew what dying looked like. He saw it in the creature's shallow breathing, in the way its limbs trembled, in the dull look of its strange eyes. This thing, whatever it was, had maybe hours left, maybe less. He should call someone, the government, the military, scientists. This was first contact with alien life. This was the biggest discovery in human history. This was not something a burned-out vet from Seattle should handle alone in a thunderstorm. The creature made a sound, a small weak sound like a child crying. Knelt in the mud beside it. Up close he could see scars on its silver skin, old scars and new ones. Someone had hurt this creature before. Someone had hurt it many times. "Hey," said softly. "Hey, it's okay, I'm not going to hurt you." The creature flinched at his voice, but it did not run. It was too weak to run. Its black eyes watched him with desperate hope, the same look had seen in countless injured animals over the years. The look that said, "Please help me." Made his decision. He picked up the creature carefully. It weighed almost nothing, like holding a bundle of sticks wrapped in silk. It made another small sound and pressed its face against his chest, shaking with cold and fear. Carried it through the storm into his house, away from the rain and the lightning and whatever terrible thing had left it dying in his cornfield. Inside, he laid the creature on his couch and wrapped it in blankets. It watched him with those black eyes, never blinking, never looking away. Could feel its emotions pressing against his mind. Fear, yes, but also something else, something like hope. "You need to eat," said. "You need food, do you understand, food?" The creature did not respond. Of course it did not respond. It was an alien from another world. It did not speak English. Brought water. The creature sniffed it and turned away. He brought bread, fruit, cheese, meat. The creature showed no interest in any of it. It was starving, could see that clearly, but it would not eat anything he offered. Hours passed, the storm faded, the creature grew weaker. Sat on the floor beside the couch, exhausted and frustrated. He had saved hundreds of animals in his career. He had pulled dogs back from the edge of death, nursed kittens abandoned by their mothers, healed horses that everyone said should be put down. He could not save this creature because he did not know what it needed. On the windowsill behind him there was a potted plant, a small fern that had been neglecting for months. It was brown and wilted, almost dead. The creature's eyes moved to the plant. For the first time, saw interest in that black gaze. He brought the plant to the couch. The creature reached out with one six-fingered hand and touched the dying leaves. What happened next would stay with for the rest of his life. The plant crumbled to dust. In that same instant, color flooded back into the creature's silver skin. Its breathing grew stronger. Its trembling stopped. It had fed on the dying plant. It had absorbed the last energy of something that was already fatting away. Understood, the creature did not eat food. It ate death. It fed on the final spark of dying things. He spent the rest of the night gathering everything he could find. Dead leaves from his yard, rotting vegetables from his kitchen, a bird that had died against his window last week and still lay frozen in his garden. He brought it all to the creature, and the creature touched each thing, and each thing crumbled to nothing as the creature grew stronger. By morning, the alien child sat up on its own. Its silver skin glowed with soft light. Its black eyes were bright and aware. It looked at, and he felt a wave of emotion push into his mind. Gratitude, wonder, and something else, something that felt like the beginning of love. Then it spoke, not out loud. The word formed directly in his thoughts, clear as a bell. Kind. Let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Yeah, he said, his voice rough with exhaustion. Yeah, that's the idea. The creature tilted its head, studying him like he was the strangest thing it had ever seen. Maybe he was. Maybe kindness was strange where this creature came from. Did not know what would happen next. He did not know where this creature came from or why it was here or what it meant for humanity, that he was now sitting in his living room with an alien child. But he knew one thing for certain. He was not going to let anything hurt this creature again. That was a promise. 7 days passed and learned the truth about his strange guest. He named her Lyra after the constellation that was in the sky the night he found her. She seemed to like the name. When he said it, she would turn toward him and he would feel a warm pulse of recognition in his mind. Yes, that is me, Lyra. Their communication grew stronger each day. She could not speak with her mouth, not in any way humans could understand. But she could push images and feelings directly into his thoughts. At first it was overwhelming, like standing under a waterfall. But learned to open his mind to it, and soon they could hold simple conversations. On the third day, she showed him where she came from. Was sitting on the couch, reading a book when Lyra touched his hand. Suddenly he was somewhere else. He stood on a world of black glass and purple sky. Towers rose around him, sharp and beautiful, built by hands that did not care about human ideas of architecture. Creatures moved through the streets below. They looked like Lyra but grown, 7 feet tall, 8 feet tall. Their skin shifted colors like oil on water. Their movements were smooth and deadly, like predators that had never known fear. The word came to him like a whisper, "We are." She showed him more. They did not build cities because they needed shelter. They built them as monuments to their own power. They did not form families because they loved each other. They formed alliances because together they could hunt larger prey. And they did not raise their children. Watched through Lyra's memories as mothers gave birth and then abandoned their offspring on distant worlds. Hundreds of children, scattered across the galaxy like seeds. Most died within days. The few who survived were allowed to return, having proven their worth through blood and hunger. Earth was supposed to be easy. The who governed Lyra's birth had laughed when she chose this world. Soft creatures, they said, primitive. Your trial will be simple. Hunt them, feed on them, return to us strong. But Lyra could not hunt. She could not kill. Something inside her was broken, or perhaps something inside her was more whole than any had ever been. She hid in forests and fields, starving slowly, unable to bring herself to take a life. Until found her. The vision faded and was back in his living room. Lyra watched him with those black eyes and he felt her shame. She had failed her people. She was weak. No, said firmly. No, you're not weak. You're the strongest one of all of them. Confusion. She did not understand. It's easy to kill, said. Anyone can kill, but choosing not to kill even when you're dying, even when it would save your life, that takes real strength. That takes courage. Lyra stared at him for a long moment. Then she pushed an image into his mind, himself carrying her through the storm, a stranger risking his life for a creature he had never met. Is this also courage? I don't know, admitted. I think it's just being decent. I think it's just doing what any good person should do. Lyra considered this. Then she showed him another image, the cities empty of children, the hunters walking alone, the mothers who never held their young. No one is decent where I come from. Felt a lump form in his throat. Then you came to the right place, he said. The days that followed were the strangest and happiest of life. He taught Lyra about human things, small things, simple things. He taught her how to make hot chocolate, and she drank it with an expression of pure disgust, but she finished the whole cup because he had made it for her. He taught her about bedtime stories, reading aloud from old books his grandfather had left behind. She did not understand most of the words, but she loved the sound of his voice. She taught him things too. She showed him how she saw the world, how she could sense the life force in every living thing. To her, glowed like a small sun, bright and warm and strange. Why do humans glow so bright? She asked one evening. You live such short lives, but you burn so hot. Thought about that for a while. Maybe that's why, he said finally. We don't have much time, so we have to make every moment count. We have to love hard and live loud because tomorrow might not come. Lyra absorbed this idea. Among my people, we live for thousands of years. We have forgotten how to burn. Maybe you just need someone to remind you. She smiled at him then. It was an awkward smile, her face not quite built for human expressions. But it was real and warm and full of a trust that knew he did not deserve. That night something changed. Woke to the sound of screaming. He ran to Lyra's room and found her thrashing in her bed, her silver skin flashing with pulses of light. He grabbed her hand and pain exploded through his mind. Visions crashed over him like waves, a ship descending from the darkness, a figure of terrible beauty, eyes like dying stars. Lyra gripped his arm so hard her claws drew blood, but did not pull away. He held her through the terror, letting her fear wash over him, anchoring her to the present. Finally the vision stopped. Lyra lay still, breathing hard, her black eyes wide and wet with tears that glowed faintly silver. What was that? Whispered. What did you see? She looked at him and he felt her answer form in his mind. Cold, certain, terrified. Mother comes. Felt ice spread through his chest. What does that mean? What happens when she comes? Lyra's response was a single image, the figure from her vision descending upon a small world. When she left, there was nothing alive on that world, nothing at all. Mother comes to reclaim me, to take back what I could not use. She will absorb me back into herself, and then she will kill the human who dared to touch what belongs to her. Sat back, his mind reeling. An apex predator from beyond the stars was coming for them. There was no government to call, no army that could help. By the time anyone believed him, it would be too late. He looked at Lyra. She was shaking again, small and scared and certain that she was going to die. Hay said softly, look at me. She looked. No one is taking you anywhere. Do you understand? No one. She stared at him with disbelief. You cannot stop her. She has killed worlds. Took her small six-fingered hand in his. I don't care what she's killed. You're not going with her. That's a promise. Lyra searched his face, looking for the lie. She found nothing but stubborn human determination. You are strange, she said finally, so small and soft and short-lived, but you are the bravest creature I have ever met. Squeezed her hand. Then let's be brave together, whatever comes. Outside, the stars wheeled overhead, and somewhere in the darkness between them, something ancient and terrible moved toward Earth. She came at dawn, was making breakfast when the light changed. The golden morning sun turned silver, then cold, then something that was not really light at all. Lyra dropped her cup and ran to him, pressing herself against his side, trembling. Through the kitchen window, watched something descend from the sky. It was not a ship. It was not a machine. It was a tear in the world itself, a wound in reality that bled darkness and starlight. From that wound stepped a figure that made every cell in its body scream at him to run. She was 7 feet tall, maybe more. Her skin shifted colors constantly, like oil floating on water, like fire burning through glass. Her body was built for killing, every line and curve designed for speed and strength and violence. Her eyes were black like Lyra's, but deeper, older. They held the cold patience of a creature that had never met anything it could not destroy. Matriarch of the third spiral, mother of Lyra, killer of worlds. She walked across his yard with the casual grace of a predator entering a room full of prey. The grass died beneath her feet. The air grew cold around her. Could feel her presence pressing against his mind, vast and ancient and utterly indifferent to human life. Lyra whimpered against his side, put his arm around her and held her close. The door opened without being touched. Stepped inside and suddenly the kitchen felt very small. She looked around at the simple human dwelling, at the photographs on the walls, the dishes in the sink, the half-eaten breakfast on the table. Her expression showed nothing. Perhaps contempt, perhaps curiosity. It was impossible to read a face that was not designed for human emotions. Then her eyes fell on Lyra, and something shifted in those ancient depths. "Daughter," her voice was like silk wrapped around broken glass. It was beautiful and terrible and felt it vibrate in his bones. "You have failed your trial." Lyra shook harder but did not speak. "You were given the softest world in the spiral. Primitive creatures, weak bodies, slow minds. You were supposed to hunt them, feed on them, grow strong. Instead, I find you hiding in the dwelling of prey, eating scraps like a parasite." She turned her gaze to, and he felt the full weight of her attention. It was like standing in front of an avalanche, like watching a tsunami rise above the shore. "And this creature," continued, "this small, soft thing, it fed you, it sheltered you, it made you weak." Found his voice. "I helped her because she was dying. I helped her because that's what decent beings do." Tilted her head, studying him the way a human might study an interesting insect. "Decent. I do not know this word. Is it a form of weakness?" "It's a form of strength." Something flickered in those black eyes. Amusement, perhaps. "You are brave for prey, stupid but brave. I almost admire it." She turned back to Lyra. "You have two choices, daughter. By the laws of our people, you may complete your trial now. Kill this human, take his life force. Prove that you have worth. If you do this, you may return with me. You will be." Lyra looked at with horror in her eyes. "Or," continued, "you refuse, you cling to your weakness, and I reclaim you. I absorb your life force back into myself, as is my right. Your essence will fuel my next offspring. Perhaps they will not be so disappointing." Stepped forward, putting himself between and Lyra. "She's not going anywhere, she's not killing anyone, and you're not touching her." Looked at him with genuine surprise. "You challenge me. You, a creature whose entire species I could exterminate before your sun reaches midday. You dare to stand between a matriarch and her property." "She's not property, she's a child, and I'm not letting you hurt her." For a long moment was silent. Could feel his heart pounding in his chest. His legs wanted to run. His hands wanted to shake. Every survival instinct he had was screaming at him to submit, to beg, to do anything to make this predator look away. He did not move. Finally smiled. It was not a human smile. It showed too many teeth, and none of them were meant for chewing food. "Fascinating," she said. "In 10,000 years, no prey species has ever challenged me. You are the first little human, the very first." She stepped closer and held his ground even as every nerve in his body caught fire with fear. "Very well," said, "I will give you a chance, not because you deserve one but because you have amused me. We will conduct a trial, not a trial of strength, for that would be over in seconds, a trial of will. You will open your mind to me. I will show you every fear, every failure, every shame you have ever experienced. If you survive without breaking, if you can maintain your pitiful defiance, then I will consider your claim on my daughter. Swallowed hard, and if I break, then you will belong to me, body and soul. I will feed on you slowly over years, keeping you alive just enough to feel every moment of it. And Lyra will watch, so she understands the cost of weakness." Behind him, Lyra grabbed his arm. "No, do not do this. She will destroy you. She has broken minds far stronger than yours." Turned and knelt in front of her. He took her small hands in his. "Listen to me. You spent your whole life being told that kindness is weakness, that mercy makes you worthless. I need to show you that's wrong. I need to show you that standing up for someone you love is the strongest thing anyone can do, even if it hurts, even if it fails." Tears ran down Lyra's silver cheeks. "You will die. Maybe, but you'll know that someone thought you were worth dying for, and maybe that'll be enough. Maybe that'll help you see yourself the way I see you." He stood and faced, "I accept your trial." Smile widened, brave, stupid, admirable. She raised one long-fingered hand. "Let us see what lives inside the mind of." Her fingers touched his forehead, and the world exploded into darkness and fire. Screamed, he could not help it. The pain was beyond anything he had imagined. He felt inside his mind, tearing through his memories like paper, dragging out every moment of shame and regret and failure he had ever experienced. He saw himself as a child, crying because his father called him soft. He saw his first patient die under his hands, a dog he could not save no matter how hard he tried. He saw his marriage fall apart, his wife walking out the door, telling him he cared more about broken animals than he cared about her. He saw every mistake, every weakness, every moment when he was not enough. And through it all whispered, "Break, surrender, you are nothing, you are prey, accept your place in the universe." Fell to his knees. The pain was too much. The shame was too heavy. He could feel himself starting to crack, starting to give in, starting to believe that maybe she was right. Maybe he was nothing. Maybe he had always been nothing. Then he heard Lyra's voice in his mind, small and scared but still there. "You told me kindness was strength. Show me, please show me." Opened his eyes. Through the haze of agony he saw Lyra watching him, believing in him, needing him to prove that everything he had taught her was true. He planted his hands on the floor and pushed himself back up. His body shook, his mind screamed, but he stood. "I'm not done yet," he gasped. "Keep going, show me what you've got." His eyes widened. For the first time since she arrived, she looked uncertain. "Impossible," she whispered. "Lady," said through gritted teeth, "you have no idea what impossible means." The assault on his mind continued without mercy. Pushed deeper, searching for the wound that would break him. She found his father's funeral. The day stood alone by the grave because no one else cared enough to come. She found the night he sat in his car outside the animal hospital, a bottle of pills in his hand, wondering if the world would even notice if he disappeared. She found the hollow years that followed, the emptiness he filled with work, the exhaustion he mistook for purpose. She found every moment he had ever felt worthless, unlovable, invisible. And she showed them all to him at once. Screamed again, he could not help it. The weight of his own pain was crushing him. How had he carried all of this for so long? How had he survived? "You did not survive," whispered in his mind. "You are barely alive. You are a wounded animal pretending to walk. I can see the cracks in your soul, human. I can see how close you are to shattering." She pushed harder. The memories came faster, failure after failure after failure. And then something strange happened. Stopped fighting. He let the memories come. He let himself feel them, truly feel them for the first time in years. The pain of his father's rejection, the guilt of the patients he could not save, the loneliness of an empty house and a silent phone. He felt it all, and he did not break. Because he had felt it all before. He had lived through it. He had carried these wounds every day of his life, and they had not destroyed him. They had made him who he was. They had taught him compassion because he knew what it meant to suffer. They had taught him kindness because he knew what it meant to be alone. His scars were not weaknesses. They were proof that he had survived. "What are you doing?" His voice was confused now, uncertain. "Why do you not break?" "Because I already broke," said aloud. "Years ago. I broke into 1,000 pieces, and I put myself back together, one day at a time. You can't shatter something that has already learned how to rebuild itself." He felt pushed harder, desperate now, searching for something that would destroy him. And that was when she made her mistake. She went too deep. She pushed past his pain and found something else, something she did not expect. She found his memories of kindness. His grandfather teaching him how to care for a wounded bird. The old man's hands, gentle and patient, showing a small boy that every life has value. She saw at 12 years old, staying up all night with a sick cat, whispering promises that he would not let it die alone. She saw his first day at veterinary school, the moment he realized he had found his purpose. She saw the animals he had saved, the grateful eyes of creatures who had no words to thank him but thanked him anyway. She saw the stranger who paid for his groceries when he was broke and desperate, who smiled and walked away before could even ask his name. She saw his neighbor Mrs., who brought him soup every week after his divorce, pretending she had made too much, giving him a reason to open his door. She saw Lyra, drinking hot chocolate she hated, just to make him happy. She saw a creature from another world choosing trust over fear, because one human had shown her what kindness meant. And for the first time in 10,000 years, of the third spiral felt something she could not name. It entered her mind like poison, like light, like something she had no defenses against. The emotions of these memories flooded through the connection between them. She felt what felt when he helped others. The warmth, the purpose, the sense that his existence mattered, not because of what he could take, but because of what he could give. Recoiled, her hand left his forehead and the connection shattered. Fell forward, catching himself on his hands and knees, gasping for breath. His head throbbed, his body shook, but he was alive, he was whole. He looked up and saw something impossible. Was trembling. The great predator, the killer of worlds, the matriarch of the third spiral, stood with her arms wrapped around herself. Her shifting skin, flickering wildly through colors, had no names for. Her black eyes were wide with something that looked almost like fear. "What was that?" she whispered. "What did you do to me?" "Nothing," said, slowly getting to his feet. "I just showed you what you showed me, my memories, my truth. Those feelings, that warmth, it burns. It burns like nothing I have ever experienced." She looked at her hands as if expecting to see wounds. "How do you live with that inside you? How do you function with so much feeling?" Almost laughed. "We don't function, not really. We struggle and fail and get back up and try again. That's what being human means." Lyra stepped forward, her voice small but clear. She spoke aloud, the first words she had ever spoken with her mouth. "Mother, why does his weakness feel like strength?" Stared at her daughter. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she looked at again, and he saw something new in those ancient eyes. Not respect exactly, not admiration, something deeper, something like doubt. "You have won the trial," said slowly. "By our laws I cannot take Lyra from you. You have proven your worth." Let out a breath. "Thank you." "Do not thank me. I have not decided what to do with either of you." She began to pace, her movements still graceful but somehow less certain than before. "Among my people, what I experienced just now would be considered contamination. a mental illness. If I return home with these feelings still inside me, I will be executed as damaged goods. Then don't go home, said. Stop packing, what? Stay, learn, figure out what those feelings mean. He gestured around at his simple kitchen, his simple life. We don't have much here, but we have enough. You would invite the creature who came to kill you into your home. I invited your daughter into my home, and she was supposed to kill me too, shrugged. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Maybe the universe is trying to tell me something. Looked at him for a long moment. Then something happened that would never forget as long as he lived. She laughed. It was a strange sound, rusty and uncertain, as if she had not used those particular muscles in centuries. But it was real. It was honest. You are insane, she said. Your entire species must be insane. Probably, agreed. But we're still here, still surviving, still reaching for the stars. Maybe there's something to be said for a little insanity. Laughter faded, but the ghost of it remained in her eyes. She looked at Lyra, who was watching her mother with a mixture of hope and fear. I cannot stay, said finally. My absence will be noticed, questions will be asked, but I will not take Lyra, and I will not kill you, strange human. You have given me much to think about. She walked toward the door, then stopped. One thing more, the feelings you showed me, the kindness, the warmth. She turned back, her face unreadable. Is that why your species has spread across your world? Is that why you have survived when stronger creatures have died? Thought about it? Maybe. We're not the fastest or the strongest. We don't have claws or fangs, but we take care of each other. We lift each other up. Alone, we're weak. Together, we're unstoppable. Nodded slowly. Fascinating, she said. Absolutely fascinating. And then she was gone, stepping through a tear in reality, leaving behind only the faint smell of starlight and questions that had no answers. Stood in his kitchen, still shaking, still barely believing he was alive. Lyra ran to him and wrapped her arms around his waist, holding on like he was the only solid thing in the universe. You did it, she said in his mind. You actually did it. Hugged her back. We did it together. Outside, the sun rose higher, warm and golden and ordinary, but nothing would be ordinary again. Not for Lyra. And maybe, just maybe, not for the 6 months passed, and life found a new shape. Lyra learned to wear a holographic disguise that made her look like a human girl with brown hair and brown eyes. She started school in the nearby town, complaining bitterly about mathematics homework. She made friends with a girl named Emma who loved horses and a boy named Tyler who collected rocks. She learned to ride a bicycle, to bake cookies, to argue about which cartoons were best. She still fed on dying things, kept a compost bin behind the house full of rotting vegetables and fallen leaves. Lyra touched it each morning, absorbing what she needed, growing stronger and healthier with each passing week. She no longer looked starving. She looked like what she was, a child, a strange, beautiful, impossible child. Returned to veterinary work, opening a small clinic in town. Word spread that he had a gift for hopeless cases, for animals that other doctors said could not be saved. He never told anyone his secret. He never told anyone that his daughter could sometimes sense when an animal was beyond help, when the kindest thing was to let them go peacefully. They were happy. It was a quiet happiness built from ordinary moments. Breakfast together before school, homework at the kitchen table, movie nights on the couch with Lyra asking 1,000 questions about human stories. But knew it could not last forever. Somewhere out there they were watching, and had not truly left them alone. The package arrived on a Tuesday morning. There was no return address, no postage stamps, no indication of how it had come to be sitting on his doorstep. Just a small black box made of something that was not quite metal, not quite stone. Brought it inside and opened it carefully. Lyra watched from across the room, her disguise flickering with nervousness. Inside the box was a crystal. It was about the size of his thumb, pale blue, pulsing with soft inner light. When touched it, images flooded his mind. Star maps, hundreds of them, thousands of them. The galaxy spread out before him like a vast ocean, and he saw the territories of the marked in deep purple. He saw their cities, their hunting grounds, their conquered worlds. He saw how few children survived their trials. He saw how their population had slowly declined each generation smaller than the last. Then he heard his voice. "Human, I have thought long about what you showed me, about the warmth you carry inside you, about the strength you find in connection." The images shifted. He saw matriarchs arguing in a great hall. He saw factions forming, alliances breaking. He saw something that looked almost like chaos spreading through a civilization that had known only cold order for 10,000 years. "You have infected me with something I cannot cure. The feelings will not fade, the questions will not stop, and I am not the only one. Others have felt echoes of what passed between us. The connection we shared left ripples, ripples that are spreading." Saw a male standing over a wounded creature, hesitating instead of killing. He saw a mother looking at her newborn child with something other than cold evaluation. He saw cracks forming in an empire built on the certainty that mercy was weakness. What you call kindness, we called disease. What you call compassion, we called contamination. But I have watched your species since I left your world. I have studied you, and I have come to understand something that changes everything. The images became clearer. Earth from space, human cities glittering with light, humans working together, building together, lifting each other up. Your species should not exist. You are weak. You are soft. You live such short lives that by our measure you are barely more than insects, and yet you have spread across your world. You have reached for your moon. You are reaching for your stars. You have done more in 10,000 years than they have done in 100,000. How have the weakest beings in the galaxy become one of the most successful? Saw the answer forming in the crystal. Saw his understanding click into place. You survive because you do not abandon your young. You thrive because you help your weakest members instead of culling them. Your compassion is not weakness. It is the most terrifying weapon in the universe because it multiplies strength, because it turns individuals into armies, because it takes the spark of one life and fans it into a fire that can warm a million others. They are dying, human. We have been dying for ages, too proud to see it. We throw away our children and wonder why each generation is smaller. We hunt alone and wonder why we grow weaker. We have perfected predation, and in doing so, we have begun to devour ourselves. The images faded. His voice grew softer. "I am sending you these maps because the third spiral is watching your species now. We are curious. We are afraid. We are beginning to wonder if everything we believed was wrong. I do not know what will happen next. Perhaps there will be war. Perhaps there will be contact. Perhaps your species will be destroyed before you ever know we were watching. But I know this, you have already changed us. You, one small human on one small world with nothing but your stubborn decency and your impossible love for a broken child. You have done what no army could do. You have made us question. That is the power of your weakness. That is why I am afraid of you. Raise my daughter well. She may be the future of my people." The crystal went dark. Sat back, his head spinning. Lyra crossed the room and climbed into his lap, her human disguise fading as she pressed against his chest. "What did she say?" Lyra asked. Wrapped his arms around her. "She said we scared her. She said humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. But humans are so small, so soft." Looked out the window at the Montana sky, at the stars that were just beginning to appear in the evening light. Somewhere out there, an empire of predators was starting to crack. Somewhere out there, the universe was shifting in ways no one could predict. "Sometimes the smallest things are the most dangerous," he said. "Sometimes kindness is more powerful than cruelty. Sometimes love can do what hate never could." Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she looked up at him with her black eyes, her real eyes, the eyes of a creature born to hunt and kill. "I am glad I found you," she said. "I am glad I could not hunt. I am glad I was weak." Kissed the top of her head. "You were never weak. You were just different, and different is okay. Different is beautiful." They sat together as darkness fell, a human and an alien, a father and a daughter. Outside, the stars wheeled overhead, and somewhere in the vast emptiness between them, old certainties were crumbling. Humanity did not know it yet. They would not know for years to come. But somewhere in the third spiral, beings of terrible power were learning new words. Kindness, compassion, family, love. They were learning that the universe was bigger than they thought. That strength could wear a different face. That the small creatures on a backwater world had stumbled onto something more valuable than all their hunting and conquest combined. Looked at Lyra, at this impossible gift the universe had dropped in his cornfield. He thought about hot chocolate and bedtime stories and homework, and all the ordinary moments that had somehow changed the course of galactic history. He smiled. "Come on," he said. "Let's make dinner, and then maybe we can look at those star maps together. I think it's time we started learning about the neighbors." Lyra grinned her awkward grin. "I would like that." They walked to the kitchen together, human and alien, hand in hand. Behind them, the data crystal pulsed softly with light, full of secrets and possibilities. The universe was vast and cold and full of terrors. But it was also full of cornfields and kindness and creatures who refused to give up on each other. And sometimes that was enough. Sometimes that was everything.